After almost a century of manufacturing electronics, Blaupunkt is still cranking out car audio gear at low costs, but without the European luster they once had. Their amplifiers are available online and at Walmart at very low costs. The AMP2002 is a 2-channel amplifier, rated at 100 watts RMS by 2 channels at 4 ohms, 150 watts RMS by 2 channels at 2 ohms, and 300 watts bridged at 4 ohms. And with a price tag of only $70, this is one hell of a bargain amplifier, if it hits spec. Inside the box is an instruction manual, remote bass control, remote bass control extension, high speaker input harness, hardware, and 2 extra fuses. Let's test this Blaupunkt out for ourselves. First, we ran a test on frequency response, and the AMP2002 had a very solid response with a slight bump around 8 to 10,000 Hz, but well within the 3 dB spec. Next test, we ran 2 channels driven at 4 ohms, 40 Hz, 14.4 volts. We got a clean waveform on our oscilloscope using our phonic PAAX as a tone generator at -1 dB. 74 watts RMS of output on the SMD, 18.36 volts of output on the Lumi voltmeter while drawing 19.42 amps of current, and 84.36 watts RMS of output on our HP8903B audio analyzer with 1.7% distortion. Dropping our output to -2 dB, distortion decreased to 0.4%, and our output dropped to 68.56 watts RMS. Next, 2 channels driven at 4 ohms, 1 kHz, 14.43 volts. We got a clean waveform at 0 dB. Our SMD picked up 74 watts RMS, 19.84 volts of output on the Lumi while drawing 20.33 amps of current, and 98 watts RMS on our HP with 3.25% distortion. Lowering to -1 dB, distortion decreased to 0.4%, and our output dropped to 83.08 watts RMS. Next, single channel driven at 4 ohms, 1 kHz, 14.51 volts. We got a clean waveform at 0 dB. Our SMD picked up 81 watts RMS, 20.82 volts of output on the Lumi while drawing 10.85 amps of current, and 103.2 watts RMS on our HP with 1.18% distortion. Lowering to -1 dB, distortion dropped to 0.33%, and our output dropped to 84.18 watts RMS. Next, single channel driven at 4 ohms, 40 Hz, 14.51 volts. We got a clean waveform at 0 dB. Our SMD picked up 88 watts RMS, 20.35 volts of output on the Lumi while drawing 11.25 amps of current, and 103.3 watts RMS on our HP with 2.82% distortion. Lowering to -1 dB, distortion dropped to 0.266%, and our output dropped to 86.86 watts RMS. Then we went to 2 ohms, single channel driven, unbridged, 40 Hz, 14.44 volts. We got a clean waveform at -1 dB. Our SMD picked up 134 watts RMS, 17.51 volts of output on the Lumi while drawing 18.90 amps of current, and 151 watts RMS on our HP with 1.8% distortion. Lowering to -2 dB, distortion dropped to 0.45%, and output dropped to 123 watts RMS. Our final test was in bridged mode at 4 ohms, 40 Hz, 14.44 volts. We got a clean waveform at -1 dB. Our SMD picked up 233 watts RMS, 32.01 volts of output on the Lumi while drawing 34.24 amps of current, and 254.4 watts RMS on our HP with 1.73% distortion. Dropping our output to -2 dB, distortion dropped to 0.32%, and our output dropped to 207 watts RMS. Overall, this amp fell a little short of its rated specs, but for $70, I still consider this a bargain. This amp would be very solid for powering mid-level speakers or an entry-level subwoofer. Aesthetically, this isn't a bad-looking amplifier either. The logo and fonts are a little boring, but the overall design is sleek. Connect your head unit to the amplifier with its low-level RCA inputs. If your stereo does not have RCA preamp outputs, like most factory head units, you can either use a line output converter or use the high-level input harness to connect the speaker level outputs on your stereo's harness to the inputs on the amplifier. The amplifier features gain control, high-pass and low-pass filters, 0 to +18 dB bass EQ, and remote bass control input. The speaker terminals will fit as low as 8 gauge speaker wire, but it's not necessary to go that low. 12 or 10 gauge will work fine for speaker and subwoofer connections. For power and ground connections, check out our amplifier installation kits online, links in the bio. Again, this isn't the most powerful amplifier out there, but it's one hell of a bargain purchase, especially for starter systems. Be sure to go to qualitymobilevideo.com and get all of your car audio and video gear with us today. Links for everything in the bio below. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that like button, but if you hated it, click the dislike button. Join the conversation below and subscribe to our channel if you're new. Thanks for watching.